Hello everybody, I think it's been a while since I've done a sit down, just a little sit down chatty video. I wanted to talk about why breastfeeding for some people isn't the easiest thing in the world. Come here then. Oh, so I have breastfed both my children, my son Kane, who is 5, and my daughter Naomi, who is 1. Can you wave? Can you say hi? Are you eating one of your snacks? I've actually just weaned her off. Well, it's still a work in progress. But her last feed was 4 days ago, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Yeah. And they always, when you're pregnant, the midwives and everyone always tell you about how many benefits there are to breastfeeding and how good it is and that, which it is. There are loads of benefits to it and it is really good. But what they fail to tell you about is how hard it can be, especially when they're a newborn. So I thought I'd just go through like my experiences with Kane and Naomi and what I found hard. Number 1. Your nipples will be sore. After you give birth and you're there with everything and you latch your baby on and you think, oh, this is going to be fine, and you realise your nipples are sore, which is something they don't tell you. And then also on top of that, babies do not come out knowing how to latch. They have like the reflux, but they have to learn how to latch on properly and feed properly. So they're learning how to do that. You're learning how to feed them if it's your first baby. Well, even then, I had to learn how to feed Naomi, and I'd already breastfed before. It's not easy them first few weeks. There are things you can buy though to help, like I think it's called Lancino. Do a little cream and you just put it on your nipples before you feed and after you feed, because it does not harm the baby in any way. You can have it on while you're feeding them. It does not harm them at all. That does help a lot, but both times I've ended up having to use nipple shields as well. And the thing with nipple shields is you don't want them to get used to that, because then they might not go back to your nipple. So I did it for about 3-4 weeks with both of them. Then I went back to feeding them, which had sorted it out after I was fine. Number 2, cluster feeding or growth spurts. Now this, it can really drain you. Obviously they will cluster feed. I think the first few days they get what you call liquid gold, which is really beneficial to them. I think it's after that they start to cluster feed to really bring your milk supply in. And when they're newborns as well, it's sort of supply and demand. You don't have a set routine. You just feed them whenever they need feed. But with the cluster feeding, I mean, with Kane, when he was cluster feeding, I fed him for 45 minutes. Tried taking him off because I thought surely there is nothing left for him to have. And he screamed and wanted straight back on. Nay, what are you doing, chicken monkey? And it was around the same with Naomi. So that is a bit difficult, but if you have a good support system behind you, it will help you through it a lot. Number 3, complications. For me, it was that Naomi had a tongue tie, so the line underneath your tongue, hers was too far forward. She couldn't latch on properly, she couldn't move her tongue. In the end, had to have it cut. Ever since then, completely fine. Worst 4 weeks of my life was that, because it used to take me and her dad, Josh, it used to take both of us to get her latched on, and it used to take us 10 minutes. And then she used to fall off, she used to slip off, but you could see from the movement she was doing, she was trying to keep on, but she just couldn't, bless her. So yeah, can you show them your tongue? Go, ah. Where's your tongue? There it is. So if, say it's been a few weeks and you're still struggling, still sore, and it doesn't seem to be going very well, check to see if there's any complications like a tongue tie or anything like that. Number 4, You will be starving and drained. So when they're a newborn and they're cluster feeding and everything, you will be exhausted from the fact that you're trying to figure out being a parent and you've got a newborn and they're trying to figure out how to be in this big giant world when all this time they've been your nice warm belly. And on top of that, you will be starving. You will be hungry all the time, because especially when they're cluster feeding, they're constantly feeding. They're taking the stuff that they need from you, and you need to put that back in you so they can then take it out of you again. So make sure whenever you go into feed, you've got a bottle of water with you, or just a drink, and a snack or some food or anything. Also make sure you go and have a pee before, because as you uterus, like, it contracts down there when you feed. Every time I went to give Naomi a feed, I would be there feeding her, and within a few minutes I needed a pee, and I wasn't going to take her off me because she would get really upset, so I'd just have to wait. So I'd recommend going for a pee before you feed them. Number 5, the newborn night feeds. So imagine cluster feeding during the day and the feeds during the day and it goes all well, and then it's at night when they're newborn, it's completely different. Obviously you'll be exhausted, you want to go to sleep. They don't know the difference between night and day when they're newborns. It's all jumbled up basically, so they could be more awake at night, or if you're lucky they could sleep really well. But as a newborn, they most of the time really struggle, and there's a thing called the witching hour, where I didn't have it with Kane, but Naomi, it was really bad. For an hour at least, she would cry, I'd put her on, she'd still cry when she was on, and then come off and then cry, and it was like that for at least an hour while she was a newborn. It was really difficult. I don't know if it's like that with formula fed babies as well or what, I'm not really sure. But yeah, newborn night feeds are really tiring and hard for while they're a newborn. It does get easier, don't worry. So number 6, the scratching. Now, even though they're just tiny little babies, they have very sharp nails, hence why you see babies wearing either socks or little mitts. Socks work better than mitts, by the way. Yes, their nails are very, very sharp, and if they start scratching, you will know about it. It really does hurt. And especially since after you've just gave birth and your breasts are going to be really sensitive, and then having your baby scratch you, it's not a good combination. So I'd recommend like putting their little socks on them or their mitts on them. Number 7, they bite. Even before Naomi had teeth, I could feel her clamping down with her gums, and it didn't hurt that much. Hello. Oh. And it didn't hurt that much because it was just her gums. Like, I could feel a bit of pressure, but nothing more than that. But when she got her teeth, it really hurt. There was quite a few times. What are you doing? There was quite a few times where she drew blood and like took the skin away, and it was really, really sore. And there isn't really anything you can do. I mean, I used to, obviously at some points I'd be crying, it hurt that much, so I'd have to take her off and that. Typically though, she used to do it when she was a bit ratty, a bit grumpy, so what I was advised to do is try and feed her before she starts getting ratty, which I know can be hard if you don't really know when, because you're still figuring it out, because some babies can get their teeth really early. Kane got his first one before he was 6 months old. I think he was 4 or 5 months old when he got his first tooth, so it can be quite difficult. Number 8, the weaning. Now this is the point, this is the stage I'm at right now, which I'm very familiar with, because obviously I went through it with Kane. Your breasts will get really engorged, really sensitive, obviously because your milk duct will be full, and it's really painful. Like for me, when I was weaning Kane, just wearing a bra hurt. It's not too bad this time round, but it's that type of pain that makes you feel a bit sick, and also you can feel run down and tired from it and just not yourself, because obviously you're in pain. I mean, right now day 4, I'm feeling a lot better. There are things to help though, like cabbage leaves, which you might think is a bit weird, but it helps with the inflammation. It was actually quite soothing. Warm baths help. I've read paracetamol's meant to help, but both times I've taken paracetamol, it hasn't done anything, so it might work for you, it might not. And number 9, this is my last one. You will miss it. I got really upset the other night. Naomi had woke up and I was cuddling her so she'd go back to sleep, and I got really upset in the fact that I realised that the last time I had fed her was the last time, but I didn't realise it would be the last time, if that makes any sense. And I got really upset because I feel like I should have cherished it more, sort of thing, if you know what I mean. It's nice, obviously, because she cuddles me to go to sleep, I cuddle her, but it's not the same as her actually being on me. She just lays like perfectly in my arm. It's like a jigsaw piece, basically. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like she's a little jigsaw piece just fitting perfectly there while I'm feeding her, and she just falls asleep. It's just so relaxing and so nice. Even after everything I've said about, oh, your nipples will be sore and everything, after you get through that stage, the newborn stage, which is confusing and draining and sometimes irritating, because you're exhausted, you're going to be irritated, and then you've got to figure out breastfeeding, you've got to figure out a routine for them, and you've got to figure out what their cries mean. Like, are they hungry, are they tired, are they upset, do they want to be cuddled? After all of that, I would not change anything. If I could go back, I would still breastfeed. And if I ever had another child, I would breastfeed them as well, because even after all the reasons that it is hard, it is so worth it. The bond that you feel, and obviously the benefits that they get. Like, they get your antibodies, they get everything that you eat, they get the good stuff from it. And I was actually like there the other night just crying about how much I know I'm going to miss feeding her, just having her being there. I mean, 9 times out of 10, with the feed she was having, especially during the night, she was just using me as a dummy. She was using me for comfort. But I didn't mind, because she was still there. We were still not connected, but we were still having that moment, if that makes any sense. And I really wouldn't trade it for the world at all. I'm gonna get emotional. I'm trying not to get emotional about it, but yeah, you will miss it. I mean, yes, there are things you get back once you wean them off, like you get more, sorry, it's gone out of focus. You get more freedom, as in, like, you don't have like a limit on how long you're allowed to be out before you have to come back if you leave the house without them, and other stuff like that. But I think you definitely lose stuff when you wean as well. So it's like that time you have with them and stuff like that. I'm sorry if I rambled a bit on this video. It's just, they always tell you how good it is to breastfeed and stuff like that, and it is good to breastfeed. It's good for them, it's good for you, for the bond and stuff like that, but it is hard as well at the beginning. It does get easier, but then it has its little bumps on the way, like when they get teeth and they're biting and stuff like that. But I think it's definitely something worth doing. And like I said, if I had another child, I would breastfeed them. If I could go back in time, I would still breastfeed both of them. I just feel really lucky that I can breastfeed, because obviously there's people out there that can't, and I really feel for them. If you were umming and ahhing whether to decide to breastfeed or not, I just wanted to give my honest opinion, since I've breastfed both of my children. I wanted to explain the not so bright happy side of it, because like when you're going through the cluster feeds at night, you haven't got the midwives there that's like, oh, these are all the benefits, you're gonna get this, that and the other. Like, I feel like people need to know the bad things as well as the good things. So no matter what you choose, just as long as your baby is fed, that is the best thing that they can have. Anyway, I'm rambling. I've been rambling for God knows how long now, and I'm pretty sure you're very bored. If you're still watching this, thank you. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was very informative for you and helping you on making a decision now that you know more. Please like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you have Instagram. So thank you for watching. Bye. Naomi wanted to say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah, you're so sweet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can you blow a kiss? Can you go mwah? Oh, that is beautiful. That was a beautiful kiss. Yes. Mwah. Goodbye.